Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you here. We'll try to share our experience about raising money. What I want to say previously that the money that you raise is the result of the trust that you build with your investor. So if you, it will take you a long time, years to build the trust with big groups of investors, and that's why you should start as soon as possible, because not all of them will give you money at the first meeting. It's about some cases in Silicon Valley when we hear that some founders, they find money on the first or second meetings, but in general, the best cases is those where founders had 100 meetings, for example, and they have a lot of feedbacks from first meetings, and then at their on the 100 after they made 100 meeting, they get great feedbacks, and they know what to say to investors. They maybe they made some pivots because before they raise their money. And the same story is ours, almost the same. Today we are the biggest e-commerce holding in Kazakhstan. We are in different markets. We are #1 daily deals in travel and food delivery. We have very fast developing fintech project, Rahmet, something like 30–40% per month. It's about growth rate. In average, we make 2x every year, in average, in the last 8 years. And this year we'll have 85, maybe 90 billion in turnover. It's not our revenue, it's turnover. If to say about revenue, it's something like 7–8% from these figures. We are growing rather fast. A year ago, we have 8,000 purchases per day. Today, 22,000 purchases per day. We're growing in different other metrics, for example, in employees. And we have, today we have in 5 rounds, not 4, even 5, because we made a deal a week before with Aviata. We acquired 100% in this big company. And I want to say that our 2 latest rounds, we closed in 15 minutes. And that's great because if you have great relationships with your investors, they can give you money very fast. And this is definitely the advantage, because you'll be faster than your competitors. You'll spend just 15 minutes to this, and your competitors will spend maybe 6 months. And that's great that if your company will have such kind of advantage. But it takes years to build such kind of relationships, such kind of trust, and you should start as soon as possible. So let's speak about first, when you should raise money. Definitely, if you want to scale, for example, if you have great unit economy and you just need money to grow your sales, you should definitely raise money. Second, if you can lose the market, because it's all about timing, and if you lose the time, your competitors will go further. For example, in 2015, we were very proud that we spent on our Choco Travel just something like $2,000 US on marketing in 2 years. Just imagine, $2,000 US in 2 years. We were very proud of it, but at that period of time, just 10% of all travel were online, and 90% were offline. And what we understood at this period, that our competitor, Aviata, they spent a great amount of money on marketing, and they were faster than we. And we realized that if we don't spend the money at this time, so we know that according to international benchmarks, something like 8 tickets from 10, they are online. And that means that on this period, when just 10% online, That means that 70% of the market will be online. And how this market share will be divided, also it's about how much money the companies will spend. And we realize that we can not raise money, but we will definitely lose the market, definitely. We decided to raise money, and that's why we are today the market leaders. If to say about deals, if you have great deal, if you have possibility to buy your competitor and to drop the level of competition, you should do it. It's all about valuations, but still, it's a great possibility to raise money and to make great deals. We have Murat Verhmanov here, our investors who give money for us in 15 minutes. Thank you, Murat. Yeah, that was great. It's to say about the process. So raising money is a process. It's just another sales process. And that means that it's a full-time job. So if you're on the stage of raising money and you are the founder, you should definitely have another person who will run the company at this time. Because it's a full-time job. You can try to make two things on the same time, but I think that you'll fail. On our first attempts, what kind of situations we had. For example, I was trying to sit on 2 chairs and run the company and raise money. And when you spend your time to negotiate with venture capitalists, you don't spend this time for running the company. And when when we were asked about, okay, you have great figures, good growth rate, but what about the last month? And we sent them the report that we have no growth at the last month, or even we have some drop. They refused because they told us something like, oh, maybe you're on the peak, or maybe you don't have any new possibilities to grow. Or when we tried them to explain that it was just about spending money of the founders or spending time of the founders, we get the answer that, okay, it doesn't matter. That means that you have bad management and you can't do 2 things at the same time. So if you want to raise money, you should have some people who will run the company. For example, today, I am the person in the company who is responsible for raising money, but my partners are responsible for running business. And we clearly understand that all investors want to see just every time growth, just these kind of figures. And if to say about valuations, it's really like you on the bazaar. Yeah, it can vary in the very big range. It's about the predictions. It's about your belief. It's about your sales pitch, and that's why I think that with every new negotiation, you'll get better and better valuation. You should also look at the type of investor. For example, if you say about business angel and venture funds, they are about money. They want to invest and get more money on exit. You should think about strategic investor. It's not. It's about money too, but it can also be about the market share or maybe about building the monopoly. And for example, if you have even bad figures, but you it's a very interesting case. Akmal from Uzbekistan is here. We were hit about the case that some small players sometimes they как будет мешать на английском? Мешает. Как? Да, disturb big players to earn money. And sometimes for big players, it's better to buy such kind of business, even if it has bad figures, but not to have competitors at all. If about international strategic investors, sometimes it's about presence. For example, we're thinking about the deal to unite all food deliveries in small countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, different other countries for one big player. Because if we say about should Just Eat, a big strategic player, buy, for example, Choco food, we're not sure. We're not sure because it's a small country for them. But if to buy the region, the whole region, maybe it will be much more interesting for them to buy the whole region at the same time. So sometimes it's about presence. Exit strategy. For business angels and venture fund, they definitely need an exit strategy. They want to understand how they can exit your startup, exit his investments. And dividends is not an exit strategy. We have no venture capitalists who are interested in dividends. It's about buying by a strategic investor. For example, if to say about Chocofamily, who can be our strategic investor in Kazakhstan? Definitely banks, because they want to build some ecosystem. And definitely telecoms, because they have enough money and also want to have to build some ecosystems. About international strategic investors, it may be Yandex, for example, who want to have big presence in Kazakhstan. It may be China's company that want the same. And you should think about those kind of potential buyers who can buy your company, for example. But we think that the best way to build healthy companies is to go IPO, to go public. And that's why we are concentrating on this strategy. The forms of raising. Different forms. Equity is less risky, but it's not the cheapest way. Maybe the best is convertible loan, and we like this kind of instrument. We use it very often, and our first deal was on convertible loan because we don't know the exact valuation of our company at the beginning, and we have a great offer. Let's do like this: we don't fix the valuation. We'll give you money. We'll charge you. We'll give you money with 25% in USD every year, and when you get another round, we'll fix the valuation of another round with 20% of discount, and our money that we give you as a loan with the interest will be converted to shares, to equity on this formula. And that was very great for us because we understood that we have 2-3 times possibilities to grow every year, and that's really better for us than to pay. For us, it's better to pay 25% every year in USDs than to give possibility for our investors, for example, to give 2-3 times possibilities to grow every year. Yeah? So a convertible loan is a great instrument if you are sure that everything will be okay. We have some different additional features that can be used to structure your deal, and I recommend you to learn them, to learn how they can be used, because they really helps you to, if you have an investor who like you and want to invest in your company, that will help you to structure a deal. Valuation is highly depends on different factors. For example, the market size. If you think about valuation, we also look on some. We look to some analogs in different countries and think about the ratios of different coefficients. For example, revenue. For example, in food delivery, the average coefficient to revenue is something like 10. 10 revenues is the typical valuation for such kind of countries companies. But also it depends on additional moments. For example, on your potential. If you have on your markets great potential, for example, 1,000 times, we think that in Rahmet we have 1,000 times potential. So you can have, for example, not 10 but 30, for example, yeah, 30x of current revenues. If you have great growth rate, for example, in Rahmet, it's something like 10 times a year. You have great, better coefficients. Yeah. If you have strong financial metrics, if you have great market share, that will help you to sell your company on the better price. But it also depends on, for example, cash gaps. Investors like to use such kind of weakness of startups, and that's okay. That's okay. We think that's normal entrepreneurs should think in advance. They should predict such kind of gaps and should prevent them. Yeah, but still, if you have a cash gap, you'll give a discount. Yeah, it's about the demand and supply, because if you have 3 or 4 or 5 different investors who want to invest in your company, the game rules change totally. Yeah, so it's very important to have several investors who wants to invest in your company. And it's rather strange, but it really works that your valuation on the previous round rules. It's some kind of unbeatable argument. Yeah. So I had X on my previous round. I grows 2 times. That's why my current valuation is 2x, for example. It really works. And be prepared that it's not fast. For your first deals, it will be years. Yeah, maybe it can be years. Why? Because it's about building trust. When you first go to your investor and you give some predictions that, for example, you'll grow 3 times a year, he'll think, oh, okay, every startup say that they will grow 3 times a year, 2 times a year, 5 times a year. Bullshit. I will not give you money. Okay, a year after, you go to this investor and tell him, okay, do you remember I predict that I'll grow 3 times a year? In fact, I grow 4 times a year. Wow, great, great. And now I'm ready to grow 2 times a year. But investor can also think that, oh, it's another bullshit, because when you made 4x, you have no possibilities to grow further. I will not give you money at this time soon. Okay, a year after, you go to this investor and have another speech. For example, do you remember I predict 2x a year ago? I made 2.5x, for example, a year ago, this year. And I predict that I will do 2x the next year. And if your predictions are close to, if your facts are close to your predictions, that will build trust. If your facts are not close to these predictions, it will build trust too, but with some kind of discount. Yeah, and every time you negotiate with your investor, every time you give some predictions, and this difference between the facts and your predictions is it's about what he'll judge about you, like startup, like a team.
Sorry, just a quick note. So we're almost out of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Only finished. So be ready for this, and this will help you. If you have transparent structure of ownership, if you have financial and management reports, ideally it will be audited, for example. Yeah. If you have registered rights for IPs and all documents ready, it will be fast. But for example, when we structured the deal with Murat, it takes us something like 6 or 7 months, or maybe 8 months to make this work. He was ready to invest, but he was ready when we finished this work. And we don't get money until we finish this work. That's why if you want to get money fast, you should be prepared for this too. That's all. Thank you.